Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the EEARSS Podcast, produced here at Terrier TV. My name is Frank Alligator Rob. I'm that guy. This is Bill Curtis. This is Cindy doing amazing Cindy things, dressed up in the Halloween outfit. We did not talk about this earlier, but you look forward every single year for Halloween. It's your favorite holiday.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yep. So
yes.
what are we're wearing pumpkins today?
We are, yes.
Pumpkins. I respect that.
Pumpkins, spider webs. Yeah.
So now at the house, is it still decorated just inside? Did you move outside?
I did not move outside because I don't want to put up and break down every time we have another hurricane.
That's right. I forgot. Yeah.
We had a neighbor that had like huge like werewolves outside and these giant skeletons and everything else. And of course, when the hurricane came through, he had to break everything down, take it inside, and it's already back up and all going again.
No, there's way too much going on in my life right now for that. I hung all my lights up inside.
I got neighbors who still have their houses boarded up.
Mine is still boarded up.
Yep.
That's fair. I mean, why not until the season's over with? I mean, at this point, it makes kind of sense.
Yeah.
It makes kind of sense.
You had to do it once. Might as well keep it
Just
there.
wait till the season's over. Wait till mid-November and pull it all down.
Doesn't it make your house dark though?
It does, and I love it.
You love that? Okay. Okay.
Maddie was like, "Oh, it's so dark in my room. Leave them up."
My question is this. So all year, your husband and daughter like to mess with you by using music or things maybe that bother you a little bit. You have an opportunity now. The house is dark. There's dark corners to hide behind, things going on. Tell me, please, you hide behind corners and jump out and scare the daylights out of them every chance you get.
I feel like right now I have to be just a little gentle with him.
Okay, but your daughter, you don't, though.
You can only push the guy with cancer so far, Frank.
This is true. But your daughter, you have every opportunity to scare the daylights out of her.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
She is unfazed. She was raised by me, Frank.
If you don't
that
make
child knows no fear.
Well, you'll make her at least jump and she'll laugh or something, right? I mean, tell me you're trying.
More likely that she'll just roll her eyes. Like, I'll just get it.
Oh, yes. The sigh.
She is a 17-year-old female, Frank.
Fair enough. Well, I don't know. It just seems like the opportunities there, the dark house, Halloween time, to just use everything you could possibly put up the sleeve and just throw it at them right now.
She went to Halloween Horror Nights last night, and her feedback was, it wasn't as scary. That's normal.
Oh.
The first handful of them really were.
The bar has been set very high for her.
Yeah.
Okay.
They really let down things with the Halloween Horror Nights. This is true.
Wow.
I used to go years ago, and it was pretty neat.
I refuse.
They had some
I
art
will
to
never, ever go to that.
They had some art to it. I mean, it wasn't like gory, but they'd scare you, and it was like, well, okay, you go to that kind of thing, not to see a whole lot of gore, but to be a little bit scary, and it was scary.
Okay. No, nothing's jumping out at me. No.
To each their own, I reckon. To each their own. All right, you guys ready to jump into our podcast with our guest who's over here?
I think we should, yeah.
All right. So today on the podcast, we are joined by the UCF suit guy and a local hero, Elijah Viera. Thank you so much for being here.
Big word. Hero's a huge word.
So I went to school here at Titusville High School with your mom.
Okay.
That was,
That's got to feel real weird.
It's pretty awesome. And I first learned about you on a random day flipping through Instagram, and I went, check this dude out. He is all, what's the term? He is all dripped up and rizzed out.
That is not, I assure you, not how they say it.
I don't think that's how it works.
I don't know how they say it, but that's not it.
Or maybe he's dripping. Maybe that's the term. I don't know. In the suit gear, I don't know. I'm trying to. I'm going beyond my own comprehension of things right now, and it's probably inappropriate. But you're looking all fancy in your suit and all your gear. Tell us a little bit about that journey. Just tell us who you are. Let's start off with that, and then we'll get into the whole suit thing.
Yeah, so I'm Elijah, Titusville, born and raised. Love the community. Came right back. Didn't really. Well, actually, I think every Titusvillian has that moment.
You didn't leave.
No,
we tried to get you to leave.
Exactly,
but you didn't leave.
That's very true. And I think every Titusvillian has that moment where you think oh, I'm getting out of here.
Oh yeah.
And then once I kind of got past that phase, I was like, it's not that bad.
It's
pretty awesome. Yeah.
I really like this place. But yeah, so I commuted to and from UCF. So went to UCF. Now extroverted as all get out. I recharge my batteries around people 100%. So COVID
lost me.
Oh no, that's
lost me.
COVID was terrible. I had to sit inside the house all day. I love my mom, but she's me and my mom.
Right.
And I'm ready to go out and do stuff. So then to end high school the way we did, and then to start college the way I did, it was just fiending for people. So sports has always been an outlet for me. Played through high school, grew up watching sports, love sports. So the joke with me and my friends was I was a Gator fan growing up during Tebow, just because I was too young. Tim Tebow's winning. I like Tim Tebow, great. Well, then the Gators started losing, and I just wasn't a big college football fan, and I saw the movie Rudy. So I started liking Notre Dame. And my best man in my wedding, his name's Jace Wells, he was a diehard Gator. And he was giving me a hard time in, like, middle school for, like, stop being a bandwagon. And I'm like, I'm not a bandwagon. I just chose another team. Like, it's not, like, for any other reason besides a cool movie. So I told him in, like, 7th grade, I was like, wherever I go to college, I'm going to sell out. And that is it. No looking back. So when everybody was trying to figure out, when I got offered, or I say offered like I'm a D1 athlete, I got accepted into FSU, Stetson, UNF, and Florida, which was huge for my graduating class. Not a lot of people got in Florida, and then UCF. And then I landed on UCF, wanting to stay close. Their communications program is where I felt like I was supposed to be. And then with that, plus COVID, the extrovertedness and like the outlet of being a sports fan just like exploded. So I was quite the presence in the student section freshman year, just being who I normally am. And Commissioner Curtis will remember, I led the student section here at THS pretty much my senior year. So that was awesome. And then my friend who came to me, her name was Allison. She came to a bunch of games with me. She found this suit jacket for like $20 on clearance at Walmart. And she bought it for me and was like, you're the only person I know who would wear this. And I was like, you're right. So it was a game day. It was kind of a last minute plan if we were going to go or not. I don't really remember all the details, but I knew I was like, oh, I'm going to throw this jacket on. And I threw it on with my normal outfit. And it just looked dumb. I was like, it's dumb. But I had a gold graduation T-shirt that I bought for THS graduation. And I've never worn that shirt again. So I was like, okay, I got a gold shirt. So I threw on the gold shirt. I had these like golf pants that were black that were comfortable enough to wear for a game. So I put on the golf pants and I just threw on a black tie. And I was like, I'm just going to wear the suit jacket. So I did that for I think a game, maybe 2. And then UCF played the Gators in the Gasparilla Bowl. And we did like a whole family thing. We went out. And in fact, Jace pops up again. We tailgated with his family, the diehard Gators. And as I'm at the game, I'm in the UCF fan section. And somebody shouts out, yo, it's the UCF suit guy. And I never called myself that. And I turn around, and he was just like, yo, we took a picture, like, whatever, FAU. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. Like, what's up? So I don't remember if it was FAU. It was some game. And then, like, there were fans, like, lining up to take pictures with me at that game. And I was like, okay. And then
what has happened?
Yeah, it was weird. And at that point, I was like, well, now I'm going to wear it for, like, big games. I was going to keep wearing it. And then I don't remember how I came up with the idea to do the Instagram account. So I made the Instagram account. And honestly, it was just because part of the thing was being an extrovert. People knew me by the suit. They didn't know who I was. So like my bio in my Instagram account, a punch was like, this is actually, like, I'm Elijah Viera. This is who I am. Like, let's be friends. And so I did the whole suit thing. And it was when I think we played Louisville and we lost really bad. It was like we lost at home. We're supposed to win that game. And I told my friends that year I wanted to get one of Coach Gus's visors. And I was like, I'm going to get a visor. And so that game I'm not going to ask because we lose. So that wipes that one off the board. The next one, I'm there with the Instagram account now. And I say, hey, Gus, I need that visor. And he throws it to the group that I'm in. And this kid reaches out and snatches it. Like, just absolutely robs me. I'm not going to take it from a kid. So I posted that on my Instagram. And I was like, I was this close. And whatever little following I had was like waiting for me to get this visor because I talked about it so much. Then the next week, we win at home. Gus is walking in the tunnel, and I was like, hey, Gus, I need that visor. And he throws it up to me, and I catch it. And as soon as I catch it, it was just like raw emotion. I just like double fist pumped and screamed. I was like, let's go. So I turned. All my friends are behind me in the student section, like, did he get it? And I come out with it like victorious. So like 3 or 4 days go by, and I'm leaving class at UCF, and my phone is like blowing up. Like, ding. Like, honestly, I thought something was wrong. I have like 6 missed calls from people I don't have missed calls with. My Instagram like mentions are through the roof. And I open it, and UCF content team captured that moment and edited like a meme reel thing. And it's literally just, it's black and white, and it's whoever was doing it was following Gus into the tunnel. And just like when the visor went up, they followed the visor. They put in captions my voice because you can hear it on the audio. I'm like, Gus Malzahn, I need that visor. I missed it last time. He looks at me, throws it, and it was when, like, I forget the meme. But it was like freeze framed. They put like gospel music over it, and it said like persistence in big red letters. And it was like, don't give up.
That's awesome.
So all my friends are lighting up the comment section at UCF Sukai, at Elijah Viera, at UCF Sukai, at Elijah Viera. So I commented on my personal thing. So that's the first thing I opened up with my personal profile. Because I never tried to build it. Like, I just posted and left it and did the its thing. And I commented all caps, like, that's me. And then UCF pinned it. So it was like at the top of the profile. And I had like a bunch of likes on that. And then I came by, and on the UCF account, my Suit Guy account, they tagged me. So then all these fans who've seen me at the games and didn't know that I had an account, like my following pretty much tripled from that one little reel they posted. And then I was like, all right, I'm kind of in this thing now. So it just kind of snowballed from there.
That's awesome.
That's a pretty neat story. You went to THS, here where we're at.
Yep.
And you said communications?
Yeah, that's what I did in college.
So tell us a little bit about that journey from Titusville High School onto college and what you're doing now. Yeah,
so it is like, in a timeline, it makes sense when you connect the details, but if you look at it, it's like the weirdest zigzag roundabout. Cause I went to Park Avenue Christian Academy 1st through 8th grade. So like, just to be transparent, I was a weird kid. Like, there's just a lot of social dynamics I missed. And then growing up in a single parent home, like that had its tolls too. And so 8th grade, I didn't even know if I was going to go to public high school. I didn't know. So we ended up going to public school. My aunt and uncle were really involved here, the Burleys. They're great. So they were obviously like, hey, THS, like, this is where you need to be. It's where I was zoned for. But that little private school bubble, everybody went to astronaut. Like, everybody went to astronaut that I went with. I think I had maybe 3 or 4 from my 8th grade graduating little group come to THS. Some divine intervention on my mom's part. She was like, you're going to go to THS. You're going to stick it out. So I did. And again, I'm extroverted, but I was like an extrovert wanting to recharge around people that kind of was like super insecure. So I just kind of forced myself to bottle up. So that was just a weird mix of emotions freshman year, kind of just rolling through, trying to figure things out. Cause I wanted to talk to everybody, but I didn't think I had I don't know why, I just felt super insecure. So I didn't talk to anybody. Just internally, I was just drained every time I left school because I didn't make friends and talk. So right out of the gate, my mom was like, you're going to take chorus. I was like, well, I can kind of sing. I don't want to take chorus. You need to get involved. That was like, you need to get involved. You need to get involved. You need to get involved. So she tells me to take chorus. And in high school, you have, you can just go to the guidance counselor and say, I want to get my class changed. And they switch it. Like, it's no harm, no foul. So I did. Like, I didn't tell her. She found out. And she called the school and got it switched back, which like, and I was a freshman. I'm like, okay, now you're stepping on my turf. Like, I'm a big boy now. So she ends up making me sit in Miss Orr's room, in the practice room. She was our choir teacher at the time. And like, it was after school. My mom had to come to campus. Like, I don't want that to happen. I already can't drive. Like, all this stuff is my worst nightmare. And she sat me in a little practice room and she literally was like, bing, sing this. And I did. And she was like, all right, like, your voice needs to develop, but basically also just establish my other huge insecurities. I didn't like grow until my junior year. Like, I looked like I was a 12-year-old. In fact, my freshman year, I was retaking a quiz after school. And I was downstairs in the Wise building trying to find a teacher because I wasn't familiar where the room was, because I think she was like, oh, I'm going to be in somebody else's room. And I had another staff member who didn't have me yet. Was like, hey, are you looking for you're looking for your mom? I was like, no, I go to school here. So that kid, chorus was a godsend. Like, it pushed me out of my comfort zone. I started talking to people, made some of my best connections in choir. Then that kind of put in my mind, and you need to get involved. So sophomore year, whatever I could get involved with, I got involved with. Tennis was massive for me. Like, all my close friends, half my groomsmen in my wedding were on that stinking tennis team with me. So tennis was awesome. That transitioned into junior, senior year. Now, okay, I'm not just doing things to get involved because I like it, but getting involved to actually boost your application status. And I knew my strengths well enough. I knew math I was going to struggle in my test scores, and I knew I was going to do pretty well in English, and then I was going to have to find somewhere in between. So wherever I couldn't get that, and I had some bad study habits I needed to figure out. So to give myself that little bit of wiggle room, I just got involved as much as I could. So got involved. That was junior year, senior year, really established a really a good understanding of who I was and what I believed and how I wanted to operate. So then that transition, and I remember it was I think it was my senior year. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew who I was, which is most people kind of the opposite. They know what they want to do, and then they find out who they are. I knew who I was. I just didn't know how I wanted to apply that out in this world outside of just, coming to school from 8 to 3 and then practice afterwards, rinse, wash, repeat. So I was in chorus class and I was talking when I wasn't supposed to. And Miss Orr was and she normally isn't, it's chorus class, an elective, it's pretty lenient. But she called me out by name, which just I kind of shot up because I don't think I ever got any type of behavior issues at all at THS. I think my record was clean. And she was like, Mr. Viera, or something like that. And I poked my head up, and she was like, boy, I don't know what you're going to do with yourself, but you need a major in communications. And I literally, I looked it up for context of what the joke was. Because, people laughed. And I just kind of faked laugh. Like, oh, haha, isn't this funny? This is so funny, Ms. Orr. In the back of my head, I was like, what the heck is communications? And I heard about it because also, it's weird to keep bringing him up. Jace, my best friend, his dad was a communications major. He's also my pastor. So I had a good relationship with him. So I kind of threw out, hey, what exactly did you do? And he just told me, he was like, well, I was a liaison for NASA. And so he was the liaison for, I believe it was Governor Jeb Bush's administration here in Florida. And basically anything the government wanted to know about NASA, he was the guy. And so I basically boiled it down okay, so I get paid to talk to people on behalf of somebody else. Easy enough. So that's when I started communications. And then also I didn't even realize that what I was doing here at Terrier TV dipped into that realm because communications is a really big umbrella. So I just slapped on human communications. I did the basic, they have different paths at UCF you have to take. I did the basic path and then somehow landed myself in education. So it was all of this worked out. And when I actually graduated early from UCF in 2023, and I was sitting that summer I was either going to stay the whole year and finish with a minor in sports business, because again, all this time I love sports, or I was going to graduate early and get a job. But I wanted to put money away as soon as I could because I had plans to propose to my now wife. That's coming up soon because I wanted to catch her before she graduated because she graduated in 2024. So I was like, no, I want to put money away. I want to start getting ready to have a family, move out, kind of start really growing up. So I went ahead and opted to kind of put the sports business thing aside, which ended up working out great because the number one connections guy that we had at that program ended up leaving that year. So it was again, totally divine. I'm just glad I was listening to God. And then with education came up, every communications job I got offered a ton of jobs. I got, not, so a lot of them weren't offered because I kind of backed out of myself in the application process. But when you're 3 to 4 callbacks in and you're just waiting to get the job offer. But either in the interview process, everything out there at that time that I could find was commissions based.
Oh.
And I was I think I was 20 at the time. I was I'm 20, I'm still living at home. I can't really bank on going out there and selling myself. And again, I knew who I was, so I wasn't going to, the interview whoever was interviewing me, whatever they saw, I can't guarantee that's going to come out trying to sell insurance. It's just, I'm very genuine. If I believe it, I'm in. And if I don't, I really can't fake it. So it was this roundabout thing. And another teacher here, Mrs. Hannon, found out that I was looking for a job. And she was like, you'd be an amazing teacher. I was like, really? She was like, your communications degree will, it's really more similar than you think. And again, back to that concept of take an idea, condense it, and communicate it to an audience. It's just my audience happens to be 8th grade English. And the, idea is just my curriculum. So I literally interviewed for Jackson 2 days before school started. I had 1 day of professional development, and I just met everybody and got to work on my classroom, and I started the next day. And at first, honestly, with where they were at, they probably just needed a warm body in a classroom. And then, I learned so much development stuff there. I learned how to be an actual teacher. I learned, a lot of lines that needed to be drawn. So that was, boot camp for me that year. And then they actually were gracious enough to give me another offer to come back, I believe. I shouldn't say that officially. But everything pointed to that. But then I had a job offer up in Oak Hill, which is closer to where I moved. So I live 5 minutes away from Jackson. I was moving to Mims with my now wife. And then also I was able to have opportunity to change grades. So I dropped down to 7th grade, which also is a little bit easier just because they don't get as old because I'm so close to them in age. One kid literally said to my face, he was like, if you were older, I would respect you. I was like, that's awesome. Sit down. Great talk, kid. So
anyway,
holy.
Yeah, so it was
I don't get that line.
Yeah, right.
They don't say that to me. Nobody says.
When I first started in the field, I got that from clients all the time because here I was 23 years old trying to tell people as a case manager at a safe house how to rebuild their lives, and they're twice my age.
Right.
And I look 14.
Yeah,
so it's not just
true.
I literally got hall passed at Jackson.
As the teacher?
Yeah, because the way
the
way they're the way their building layout is, if you haven't been, I guess for anybody listening, the way I describe it is almost like the number 5 on a piece of dice. You got the dot in the middle and the 4.
No doubt.
So I was in the bottom left corner dot. Those that little wing was super tight. We ate lunch together. It was great. Those other wings I talked to during staff meeting, and if they didn't have their coffee, I guess they didn't remember who I was. So if I had to run an errand during my planning period, if I God forbid I had to go talk to another teacher on behalf of a student. If I didn't have my lanyard very bright, it was, or literally, hey, where are you supposed to be? And I turn around, hey, oh, sorry, Mr. Viera. Like, yep, no worries. So that's actually why I wore a tie every single day to school from day one all the way to Christmas, except for Spirit Week.
There you go.
Actually, I lied. I wore a bow tie. Shout out Bainbridge. I wore bow ties on Fridays. So.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good shout out. That's a
Yeah,
good bow tie
exactly.
shout out. Yeah, that's a good bow tie shout out. So where are you at now? Where are you working at now?
Burns Sci-Tech, or Burns Science and Technology. We call it Burns Sci-Tech, and that's up in Oak Hill.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I have one other question for you based on all this. I know faith plays a big role in your life, so tell us a little bit about your path through your faith.
Yeah, that's so all like with all those stories, a little bit breadcrumbed throughout. It was just like there's a verse that talks about lean not on your own understanding, and in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. And that Him is obviously like Jesus or God, same thing. But so that is kind of the like undercurrent of where I am, where I'm at in my like ideas. In 8th grade, I would have like no way I would have put this all together. In my junior year, if you would have asked me what I was doing, I probably would have said I was going to go to FSU and do something in sports. Like when I graduated college, if you asked me what I was doing, I was going to probably get a communications job. If you asked me 3 days before the school year started, I probably would have thought that still. So as all those opportunities presented itself, it was always a person. And again, like I said, I established who I wanted to be in high schools when my faith was really solidified. Because 1st through 8th grade, it was more curriculum. Like we literally had Bible class, math class, English class, science class, Bible class, math. Like it just was part of the curriculum. So I had like an intellectual standing of like the Word of God, the Bible. And then in 4th, 5th, 6th grade, that like time frame, I had a really big trial, is kind of the church word for it in my life. Very, very basic, bare bones is my mom, biological father left me when I was born. My mom had me in college, came back to Titusville to raise me. That's probably why I love Titusville so much. So I grew up without a dad. Right about 4th grade was when I understood what that actually meant. Because I literally remember it was, we had like a Father's Day thing in elementary school and everybody got paper ties. And one kid had a stepdad in his life and a dad. And he was like, hey, Miss So-and-so, I need 2 ties. And I was like, I got one. I'm not going to use it. Like it just didn't click. So that was going up till 4th grade. And my mom just dumped me in that school, a little bit of faith background herself. But she really just put me in that school for me to get a good education. Like it was private schools, 5 minutes down the road where I lived. So I did that through 4th grade, had that curriculum understanding. She got remarried. So that was like awesome. That dude was like my hero. But then he was a contractor in the military. So he had a special forces background. They got married. I don't know the financial situation. That was probably right around when I think it was like 2012. So like money was kind of tight. So then he was like, I'm good at this. So he went back overseas, but every time he came back, it was like more true colors showed, kind of rough around the edges. And then he must have just tapped out at some point and he just packed up and left. So I'm trying to get my grades right. It was like 4th, 5th grade that took place. So right when I'm understanding what my biological father did, this guy is just like, hey buddy, I know I said all these things, but I'm out. And that was kind of it. So he bailed and he was honestly like towards the end, it was honestly it's a miracle that he left the way he did because it was just trending in a really, really bad direction. However, I remember when he left, I still was like trying to rationalize it. I ran and grabbed my baseball schedule because he like had 2 duffel bags packed. It was like a bad movie scene. And I ran up to him I was like, hey, I put my baseball schedule in his chest. And he kind of grabbed it. And in hindsight, he was just looking behind me. Obviously, now I can tell my mom was probably giving her the offensive coordinator eyeballs
Right.
and kind of facilitating the whole scene. And he kind of looked at her and he kind of looked at me and just gave me like a lame fish hand, like little pat on the head or whatever. And I was like way too old for a pat on the head. And like he wasn't like not affectionate. Like it was just like he was just different at that time. And I remember I was like, you gotta come. And he was like, I don't think I'm gonna see you again, bud. Like I'm sorry. So he just bailed. And he was a man of his word. Didn't see him again until a lame meeting that we had to have for the divorce. I wasn't adopted by him anyways at the time, so like they were married for so short, so I didn't have to do any of the legal process. And then I caught him in Publix when I was bagging groceries. He came through my line during COVID, but he didn't recognize it was me. That was trippy. So all of that time, I had Bible class literally it was like I was going to Park Avenue. I was just part of and I really started to challenge those things because a huge backbone of Christianity is the Father. And I was like, all right, So I'm kind of 0 for 2 on this father thing. I was in 4th grade with the level of faith and understanding that I had. That was kind of my last ditch effort. Like, 3 strikes you're out. So biological father didn't work out. Now I understand why. Right as I'm starting to understand what he did, what happened to me happened. And so I started leaning on God. And it was like, I remember when my mom and my stepdad would fight, I would go in the room, I would put on my Mario music in my ears through my DS, and I would just pray. And praying wasn't any religious process for me. It was just talk to God. That's all I really knew how to do. So I would pray. I started reading my Bible a little bit more. Started to attend church whenever I could, whether it was vacation Bible school, whatever. And my mom was just always involved. She wanted me to get involved. And then I started attending the church that I attend now. Again, it's weird I keep bringing him up. My buddy Jace was like, hey, man, you got to come to church with me. And he shared like this crazy story some preacher shared over there about like miracles. And I was like, wait, those, like, you mean the things we learned about in math class? In Bible class? No miracles math class. Wasn't that spiritual to school. I'm sorry. It would be cool though. I was like, wait, you're telling me these miracles that I'm reading about, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they're still happening? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. I believe that without a shadow of a doubt. And this was like 4th, 5th grade. So now I might be getting my grades wrong, but I was young. And now I'm trending upwards to a kind of understanding, okay, now I'm having this faith in this God that doesn't just exist in the Bible, but actually exists like right now and is still doing stuff. So I just sold out, put my faith in him. And it was at that church where I learned more principles, not just of an intellectual understanding of the Bible, not just religious process and due process and the order of events, but actually having a relationship with Jesus outside of like a church structure. And that was when I was filled with the Holy Ghost, the evidence of speaking in other tongues is seen in Acts chapter 2 or verse 38. Baptized in Jesus' name, that verse popped out to me like it was almost like I never read it before. And I'm sure I read the book of Acts before that. That was like, whoa, revelation, because that was so real and personal. That took place, and it was like, you couldn't convince me otherwise. And then also, as kind of a side plot to that, my mom was just driving me to these church events and dropping me off, but they're wrapping up in like, at the evening time. So instead of her going back to the home life, which was a wreck, she just stayed for church. So she would drop me off at children's group, and then she would just go into the big service, and she was just kind of like, whatever, I'm just kind of here to, kill time. And the more she went, the more things started to take an impact on her. And I also got to watch her life just change. Like, you'd think you go through something like that and you kind of bottom out. It was like the opposite. It was like she leaned on God, and it was just like she took off. And as a person, as a mom, like the way she parented me changed. And which you kind of understand a lot more in middle school. And kind of like, and it's weird because like obviously as a middle schooler, I'm trying to put one over on my mom as much as I can. And she just held her ground. Like she towed the line, which I needed. Again, like she wasn't scared to call my high school guidance counselor and change a class. And like literally like the whole reason I went to THS is she prayed. Like intellectually, everything pointed at me to go to astronaut besides the Burleys. Shout out to them. And even they were like, well, both are good schools, but we obviously are a little biased. And when I have 8th graders that were at Jackson kind of trying to pick, I told them the exact same thing. I was like, both schools are great. I'm just a little biased. And in the back of my head, I'm like, I hope you have a mom that prays, because that's the only thing that worked out for me. So the faith that I have is real, and it has these different milestones. And there are moments that I've been like, okay, God, what the heck? But it's because of that relationship that it's really solidified. And my church is great, but I can honestly say it's not about the religion. It's just about the relationship.
No doubt. We've been talking about having you on here for a long time, so it's nice for it to finally come to fruition to have you here to be able to chat with you. And thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your story, telling us a little bit about you and what you're up to these days. And buddy, I'm just super happy for you. Yeah,
it's a weird mocktail. It's like everything from college football to like really kind of sad stories, but like have a happy ending. Like life's awesome, man. It's a blessing, and I love this little town. It's just like the stage in which I get to just do stuff. It's awesome.
We're super blessed. We talk about it all the time, but we get to have people from all different backgrounds come on here and tell their story. This is what this whole show is about, is people come on here and talking about their lives and careers journeys. And everybody's got a unique one. It's just like testimonies. Everybody's got a very unique one that makes us who we are. And there's something very beautiful in that. So
absolutely.
Yeah. If one single person that is listening hears something and resonates and feels seen or heard or understands something more about themselves, then we have done our job.
No doubt about it.
That's our goal.
That's what it's all about. So thank you very much for being here. And yeah, buddy, good luck on the next leg of the journey, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys.
All right. I guess another one in the book.
Okay. So that camera.
Yeah.
That camera.
Yeah, that one.
Camera.
This one,
That
Frank.
one. That one.
That
Yeah,
one.
that
yeah.
one.
The one.
Do your thing.
All right, guys. It was nice to see you all. It was nice to see you guys.
Oh, are we still talking?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was nice to see
I was
you
about
guys.
to mute microphones.
All right, I'll jump into it, Bill. I'll jump into it.
No. We can talk. What do you want?
Yeah,
Well, I just
Elijah's not on camera, so he doesn't exist.
I don't know. I get a little bit emotional and warm and fuzzy, and I just need to talk to you guys for a second before I break it down. So
Oh, okay. I got you.
It's all good. I'm better. I'm better
Okay.
now. I'm all right.
Okay.
All right, we'll break it down. I'll break it down, Bill. It's
You
okay.
you will?
I'll break it
Okay.
down. All right.
There we go.
All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning into the EEARSS Podcast, produced here at Terrier TV. If you are interested in sponsoring our program, you can find us at EEARSS.org, the longest acronym in the world, EEARSS, which is Environmental Education Awareness Research Support and Services. We do this podcast to kind of highlight people and guests, as we've been saying, their career journeys, what they've been through, what they're going through, how they got there, and the different amazing things going on in their lives. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope to catch you next week. Bye-bye.